The first show we did, I was going to do To Be or Not to Be out of Hamlet, but I couldn't figure out how to make it funny because just doing it with a Southern accent didn't seem funny. So I asked this same man, Bob Armstrong, who was a drama major, who was a graduate student really, to come down and tell me the story of Hamlet. And he did, and I wrote down the names of the characters and how it happened. So that week I made up a monologue about the play Hamlet. And I did it on a Saturday night, got big laughs. And I knew I had something. Well, I jumped from To Be or Not to Be to the whole play. I just thought it would be funny. The idea was that I was selling these books, 5 great tragedies by this fellow named William Shakespeare that lived over in the old country. And I had some of them left over. And that's how I started. And so I borrowed, from 2 men in Mount Airy, I borrowed $1,000 and I had $400 from teaching. And sent out some brochures and started working at civic clubs. And during one of those, I did a luncheon show at Chapel Hill one day, and by then I had written the football thing. I was married to a woman then, she's dead now, but she was a singer. And the two of us would do this stuff together. And that is, she'd sing, I'd do the comedy. We'd hire a piano player for $15. We had our own lighting system. I never used a microphone. I didn't have one. I never used one because I didn't know about a microphone. I mean, this is an outdoor theater. You have to learn to shout through a northeaster. But this guy, I was alone on that particular show. It was lunch. And I did this football monologue. And there was a guy there who had a little record label. He ran out and he said, let's record that. And I tried 3 times. The first 2 times I froze because I didn't know what a microphone was. And the third time, I got a kid who had a tape machine that could take 2 microphones. And he came over to, it was an insurance, Jefferson Standard Life Insurance. I don't know whether it was a convention or a meeting or what, but the room was full anyway. And I said, put a microphone up by the side of the audience and put one up for me. And I recorded the whole show. The first monologue that I did that night was Romeo and Juliet, which is a very funny monologue. Only it's funnier than Hamlet. And then the second one I did was football, and I almost froze on that. Romeo and Juliet, the way that was released was Romeo and Juliet was on one side and football was on the other side, on an EP, on 45. But that night Romeo and Juliet really scored. I mean, huge laughter. And I didn't really think the football was going to do much, but it took off. It finally sold 1 million. Took a long time, but it finally did. And the football then took me to New York. It's called What It Was Football. I didn't name it that. The guy who put the record out. He also put Deacon in front of my name. Deacon Andy Griffith. And I was called that for years. I went one night to see Pete Fountain at the Blue Room there at the Tropicana Hotel. And somebody gave him a little piece of paper and he said, well, what do you know, Deacon Andy Griffith is here. See, I'd played New Orleans too. I worked all through the South, as far west as Texas. And I got $750 a week. Sometimes I get up to 1,000, sometimes once in a while 1,500.